going into your 20-25 grazing days ahead. So it's important that you continuously monitor your grazing days. If you find that you're starting to get you're running below what you require, say in the month of May you're only getting down to 8 or 9 grazing days ahead, well then you have to look at taking steps. Sowing a bit more fertilizer, maybe offloading some stock, selling some stock, or rehousing maybe some of the dry cows or something. But it's continuously processes of monitoring how many grazing days you have ahead, and in order to control grass quality. If you see that you're going to maybe in the month of May you have 21 grazing days ahead and you only require 14, well then you take steps. You either close ground up or you hold back on fertilizer. Or you try to move stock on that little bit quicker and go in with a topper. So we're going to go and talk to Michael now, tell him the information that we've got and see how we can address it. Basically, you've about 102 cattle, Michael, going out to grass now, haven't you?
Yes, that'll be it.
On that figures, and you've on your average grass covers, you're looking at about 22 to 23 grazing days ahead. So really what that tells you is if you were to let out all the cattle now, you'd have 23 grazing days. Look, in this weather and whatnot, ideally you'd look about 28 to 30 grazing days. So I suppose, look, in the case you're not going to put all the cattle, you're not planning on putting all the cattle out in the one day anyway, are you?
No, not. At the minute there's just 30 out at the minute.
Oh, you have 30 out?
There's 30 out already on the 16th of March.
Yeah.
A bit later than norm, but what we'd expect, we normally expect to get them out around the 1st of March. But from here on in, hopefully we'll get them all out now in the next 3 weeks, have them all out by the first week in April.
A few simple tips on letting cattle out to grass. Firstly, remember, the cattle are coming out of your slatted shed. The sheds are warm, they're in a confined area. You're putting them out into the field. They're obviously going to do an awful lot of tearing around. Basically, you don't want to be letting them out at night because if they get sweated up, then the cold night comes and you're running into problems with pneumonia. So getting them out to grass early in the morning allows them time to cool down during the day. Secondly, as Michael has done here, ideally letting them out in small groups. Letting a big bunch of cattle out into a field basically does similar actions to a 4 for a reversible plough. It basically does a lot of ploughing, a lot of damage to the sward. So smaller groups, they'll settle better. And as Michael's about to do, let them out into a small field just so they can't get too much running around. And Michael, were you always turning cattle out that early, or I suppose as the farm, have you changed your system since decoupling?
We've changed a fair bit, yeah. We would normally get cattle out around the middle of April and be slaughtering September, October. But over the last 2 or 3 years, we're bringing the dates back all the time. Right. So, and slaughtering our cattle by the end of June.
Right, and Michael, what have you had to do? Has it been a lot of work in doing that, or have you made many changes to the system?
I suppose the biggest change is just getting cattle in from mid-October into the 1st of November, get them in early.
Yeah.
And get our bit of nitrogen out a bit earlier in spring. Like.
When did you sow your nitrogen this year, Michael?
This year, the last days of January.
Last day. How much? What
25 units of urea to the acre.
Have you got a good response from that? Have you?
We have a good response. Yeah, very good this year now.
Yeah, you've certainly good grass covers now. And Michael, I suppose, have you made any other changes? Have you changed your silage in terms of how you're harvesting the silage?
Yeah, normally we'd cut silage before this from mid-May to the 25th of May, but now we're grazing all our silage ground, and to closing up silage roughly the middle of April and cutting around the 1st to the 2nd week of June.
But I suppose now, Michael, if we take a walk down the fields and we look at some of the grass and we see where we're going to go from there?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Earlier when we were looking at this field, we calculated that there's around 12 centimetres of grass in it. That'll equate to around 1600 kgs of dry matter for the hectare, but there's obviously there's not the full hectare in this field.
What's actually 0.4 of a hectare. Yeah,
0.4, so 1600 multiplied by 0.4 is 6.4. And I suppose to build in our utilisation factor, Michael, around 60%.
60% of it fell good this time of the year. Yeah.
That would give you around 400 kgs available to the actual cattle. And how many's in the field?
Five.
600 kilos. So
600 kilos.
That'd be 12 kilos of grass each that would require. So 12 times 5 is 60. And divide that by our initial figure of 400. You're basically looking at 6 to 7 days grazing in this field, Michael, which I suppose would be correct.
It wouldn't be bad for the month of March.
But you'd be glad, you'd be happy if you got 7 days out of this.
Yeah, if you got a week's grass on, you'd be happy enough. Yeah.
But certainly, Michael, you'd be expecting that cattle grazing that field to be certainly doing the 1.3, 1.4 kilos again anyway, on that good quality grass.
You'd be definitely hoping for it.
Yeah,
hoping for it now.
To sum up what we've looked at here today on Michael's farm, is basically the importance of grassland management and ultimately the impact that it'll have on your bottom line profit. Go back to the key point, 20 cents a kilo to produce a kilo of gain off grass, €2 or even more in some farms to produce it out of the shed. Therefore, the key thing is that you need to produce as much as the live weight gain cheaply at grass if you're going to be profitable. How you do that is you get out to grass early. How you get out to grass early? Closing up early in October, getting your fertiliser out early, and not being afraid to let the cattle out early. So, it's now the middle of June and thankfully the weather has improved since we were out in the Mellet farm last March. Let's go and see how Michael has got on since we were last with him. Michael, how are things?
Not so bad, just done out.
How are you doing? You're keeping well?
Not so bad, sure.
I suppose, Michael, if nothing else has improved, the weather has improved since we were out with you last.
It has improved a lot since you were here last, that's for sure now.
How are things, Michael, progressed since we were with you?
Pretty good now. As you know, when you were here last, the weather was very bad. But about a week after you being here, weather conditions improved greatly, and I got all the cattle to grass by the 24th of March.
Oh, yeah. And how have things been since then, Michael?
Since that, things have been very good. Grass growth is very good, and everything was worked out.
Has performance been good, has it?
Very good. We weighed last week, and they have averaged about 1.3 kilos again per day since they went to grass.
So went to grass 1.3?
Yeah, 1.3 a day.
And was that totally from grass, Michael, or were you feeding?
No, I would have started feeding meal early May.
Right.
So to get rid of cattle in June.
Oh, so you've cattle slaughtered already, have you?
Just one load gone last week.
Oh, very good. How did they do?
They're doing pretty good. I was pretty happy with them now. They're doing fairly well, yeah.
In terms of performance, Michael, had they done well since they were bought in?
They have done well. Since I bought them in, they would average about 0.8 of a kilo a day.
So that's over, really, they would have been bought July time?
Bought July and killed, yeah. So.
Oh, that's very good. Did they leave money, Michael, I suppose?
They left a few bob, yes.
Not
they did.
So bad. That's the main thing. Michael spoke about meal feeding at grass. However, in order to get the benefits of meal feeding at grass, it's important that you stick by the rules. What are the key benefits? The key benefits of meal feeding are 1. Improved grading in them borderline cases. 2. Improved kill out percentage, which could add an extra 20 to €30 onto your bottom line. And finally, getting cattle slaughtered earlier. We all know what happens as more cattle come on stream mid-summer, prices go down. By feeding that little bit of meal, you can market your cattle 2 to 3 weeks earlier and hopefully achieve a better price. So, now for the rules. The rules are basically quite simple. 1, you want to make sure you're feeding the right type of meal. And basically, as you can see by these cattle behind me, they haven't really an awful lot more growing to do. So all you're looking to do is flesh them. So you're looking for energy. Really, one of the best products for fleshing cattle is rolled barley. However, there may be a slight palatability issue when feeding rolled barley on its own on good quality grass like this. So how you overcome this is basically add a bit of citrus, a bit of distillers or a bit of molasses in along with the barley. Alternatively, you can do what Michael decided to do here, and that's basically feed the same ration as he fed to the cattle over the winter, a barley, citrus and distillers mix. Again, when cattle are on good quality grass like these and you're only feeding meal for the last 6 to 8 weeks, there's no real need to feed minerals in the ration, saving you €10 to €12 per tonne. The next point is to ensure you start feeding meal at the right time. It's absolute waste of money starting to feed meal to cattle in May that aren't going to be fit for slaughter until September. You want to batch your cattle accordingly. Cattle that are going to be fit for slaughter in June, cattle that will be fit for slaughter in July, and cattle that will be fit for slaughter in the autumn. And you start meal feeding them cattle 6 to 8 weeks before they come fit for slaughter. In terms of how much meal to feed, on good quality grass like this in May and June, really 2 kilos to 3 kilos is adequate. However, later on into the autumn when grass quality and availability starts to decline, you might want to increase this to 4 to 5 kilos. Again, it will depend on the quality of your grass and the type of cattle that you're feeding.